Welcome back, everyone, once again to a new installment of Screenplay Rewind, our 100th installment. They haven't stopped us yet, Ron. Are you surprised? I mean, they tried to at the movie theater when we tried our live Q&A.
Oh, man.
There were some explosives thrown. Some guys, yelled mediocre, tried to, attack us with hang gliders. It got kind of crazy, but we made it out.
Yeah, we got out. We had to... It was a fight, man.
It was. We almost lost Ron. This almost became a solo podcast, which is very awkward.
Part of me is still there, man. The lower half of my left arm.
Yeah. It's pretty metal. How you just kept on.
I got this rad prosthetic now that I can start like a lawnmower.
Oh man, 100 episodes. That's crazy.
100 episodes.
100 episodes.
What is it? Been 3 years now? Something like that. Going on 4.
We started. Was it 2020? We started in 2021.
I believe it might have been 2020. Let me see.
Yeah, I can't remember. It was sometime during the pandemic, but I don't know if it was the first year of it or the second year of it.
During the pandemic. We're still in the pandemic. Let's see. Episode 1, The Thing, October 31st, 2020. So we're going on 4 years.
4 fucking years. That's
26 weeks in a year. I mean, we're averaging about 1 episode a week.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Only took 4 years for the YouTube algorithm to figure out we existed, so that's pretty cool. Welcome all the new subscribers. It was like, hey, these idiots have been podcasting for 4 years. Let's throw them a few views. There was only that one asshole that was like, mediocre. Everyone else has been pretty chill, so we'll throw him some algorithm.
And since then, since that guy called us out, it's been doing pretty good.
Yeah.
Hope you're listening, that guy.
That guy.
That guy. Who are you?
Well, we will just henceforth call him Scrotus. All right. Yeah, we are going to be talking Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga today for episode 100. We covered Fury Road a few months ago, partially in prep for this, because obviously we love Fury Road, but what prompted me to pick it when I did was seeing the trailer for this in all of its fucking glory, and all of its missing limbs and prosthetic noses fueled glory. But before we talk about our movie today, I think we had a few comments. Would you like to talk about some of our comments, Ron?
Yes. Let's see. We got... Hang on. I gotta turn this filter off.
You had one job, Ron. You had mediocre.
We did have one comment that apparently slipped through, and I am going to take this as a compliment. I'm surprised that's not held for review, YouTube. Okay, so on the 13th Warrior, we got 3 comments. 2 of them... Can we just call Bobby a producer now at this point?
He's not just a producer. He's the executive producer.
He's the executive producer.
He's a Morton Bob.
He's the executive producer. He has a desk. He said that he requests to be in the theater. That way he can comment live when we were talking about doing the podcast from inside the theater.
The live Q&A that would result in our immediate death.
Our live beatdown.
We would need Bobby there to defend us from the onslaught.
And then I've lost all context for this one because the ever enigmatic Bobby says, welcome to Screenplay Rewind with Ron Goose and Geoff.
So we had a conversation about this comment, specifically about the Geoff thing. First of all, we don't know if it's Jekin or Geoff, and I love how both of those could be a Pokemon name. They just work flawlessly. So I'm curious about that. I need Bobby to report in if the Geoff/Jekin was a typo, an autocorrect mishap, or what that is in reference to, because I don't fucking remember.
Geoff has to be a D&D monster, right?
Maybe?
Like a rock golem?
No idea. No fucking idea.
The one that
what were we talking about?
The one I didn't notice till just now is someone left a comment on the 13th Warrior saying listening to you two is cause for suicide.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
Okay. Thanks, man.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you for your input.
Yeah, so that didn't get flagged by YouTube.
That did not get flagged for YouTube.
Yeah,
and it's doing that thing. So I'd only encountered this with Bobby, and I don't know why. I thought it was because I had Bobby flagged a certain way on YouTube, but sometimes his stuff gets filtered out as we've already responded to it. So I have to go in and take that filter off to see all of his comments.
Mm-hmm.
And when I took off stuff I've replied to is when that one popped up. That's how I didn't see it. And I have not replied to it. So I don't know why YouTube continues to do that. So if you have left a comment and I just didn't mention it, it's because I had only thought that was happening to Bobby, because I forget what the terminology is, but like, you know how on Twitch you can have like they're not a moderator, but they're like a like kind of like a power user or whatever in chat.
Oh yeah.
I have Bobby promoted to that, and I always thought that was what was interfering with it, but this guy's not. So I don't know.
Yeah, making light of suicide in the comments of a movie review YouTube channel. You must be great at parties, man. Like, I wish we could hang out.
Right?
Fucking killer time. Yeah. Thanks, man.
Wish I could see how long he listened before he decided that. I'm gonna assume this is
it's like 4 seconds.
He's got Mr. in his name, so I'm gonna assume this is he.
Yeah.
Anyway. On Battlefield Earth, Bros 2323 says, I actually sit down and watch this movie once a year. It's like putting Tabasco sauce in coffee. I'm still trying to discern if that is a good thing or a bad
the way
thing.
I take it is it's just an assault on all of your senses.
Yeah.
And you don't know how to process what you are like encountering at that given moment, because it's just fucking nuts.
Right.
And I also feel like probably after you do drink that, what was that, coffee with Tabasco sauce?
Yeah.
I feel like after you drink that, you just start laughing uncontrollably, like ha 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 ha, like a
while your eyes twitching.
Yeah. You also develop some unnatural Spirit Halloween fingies, but they go away after a while.
Hot dog fingies. Yeah, I already consider a coffee to be an assault on all the senses. So
Rod, I feel like you consider almost all drinks and all foods an assault on the senses, because it feels like you hate everything.
That is not true. I am not that picky when it comes to food.
You hate breakfast, you hate cereal, you hate coffee, you hate 90% of fast food restaurants. What are you talking about? You're very picky when it comes to your food.
But those 90% of fast food restaurants all sell the same type of food. I just don't like
garbage.
theirs. Yeah, exactly.
It's garbage.
I prefer my garbage a certain way.
But you don't buy it because it's good. You buy it because, well, it used to be cheap. Now everything is fucking $12 for like a fucking McDonald's burger. Fuck that noise.
Now you can go sit down in a restaurant for about the same price.
Yeah, now I agree with you. It's all garbage and not worth your money. But back in the day, when I could go to fucking McDonald's and get, the food that's gonna kill me. At least I only paid $4 for the double cheeseburgers.
The before times when fast food was cheap and Walmart was 24 hours.
Now they're fucking selling guzzolini and $12 burgers. That one McDonald's on Memorial selling fucking bullets.
The guzzolini caught me off guard. I did not expect you to drop guzzolini.
I just imagine fucking Grimace with the Rictus outfit. The fucking Hamburglar's got the nipple piercing, and it's just like, dude, someone make that with like fucking Photoshop. I need all of those horrible, misguided McDonald's mascots, but as like members of Mad Max, various characters.
I don't know if that was a one-off or if somebody did something that I'd never found, but that Wile E. Coyote thing, where he's a war boy.
Oh, that's super good.
And he sprays his mouth with the chrome and then holds up the sign that says "Witness me." Oh, it's so good.
I hadn't seen that until you said it to me, but it's super fucking good.
I don't know if that's from something or if surely I'm not complimenting Space Jam. I didn't see the second one.
Nobody did, dude.
But yeah, I don't know if that's from something or that's just a one-off that someone made, but that was pretty good.
No idea. All right. Do we have any other comments, or was that the...
that was everything.
All right. All right, make sure you report that asshole. What a douchebag.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, like you're totally welcome to your opinion of man, hot take, somebody disliked our mediocre movie podcast. Man, you're really going out on a fucking limb there, really dying on that hill. But yeah, don't make light of suicide because of a movie podcast. That just makes you look like a fucking douchebag. So yeah, fuck off.
Yep.
Yeah,
I
moving along.
Moving right along, yeah.
Moving right along. I find your shitty comment mediocre. Yeah. All right.
At least the first asshole we encountered just said we were boring,
Yeah. Be a man of culture like that, dude. Just be a complete douchebag. Don't be like, an actual like harm to society. Like it's a low bar to clear. Just be better than that first guy.
Constructive criticism. Neither one of these are it.
Not so much.
Not so the first guy or this one.
If you have a question or comment that you would like to be judged by Ron and myself,
would like to be ridiculed for.
Hey, we welcome all the comments. We will ridicule you if you're an asshole, but you sign up for it. You put it in a public forum on the YouTube feed, so we're going to make fun of you for being an idiot.
Hey, you put your dick in the drawer, so all I did was slam it.
If you have a comment for us, you can always drop it in the YouTube comments, or if you want to email us at screenplayrewind@gmail.com.
Screenplayrewind@gmail.com.
Yeah, that wonderful place that is just mostly spam.
Yeah, that's how I know that we're kind of trucking upwards, because that account has been lighting up and it's all nonsense.
This is all people trying to scam us, or like, hey, would you like to interview this random person on your podcast? No, I don't want to interview this random person on our podcast.
I would really like to not.
Oh man, maybe that was that guy that was just like being an asshole. He's like, they didn't want to interview me. Fuck those guys. Oh man. Yeah, you can email us screenplayrewind@gmail.com. We're also on Twitter at SPR Filmcast. Before we dive in fully, so this is kind of a special episode because we typically don't do brand new movies. Usually we kind of sometimes we'll hit up somewhat recent stuff, but a lot of the time it's a bit older stuff that we cover because we just kind of randomly switch back and forth and alternate the picks and everything. But we wanted to cover Furiosa just to kind of give us an excuse to go to the theater.
It's pronounced Furiosa.
Not Furiosa.
I'm pretty sure I made that joke on Fury Road, which is why I was trying to make it again.
We have very limited good material. Reuse it. Yeah, we wanted to cover this partially just to give us an excuse to get off our ass and go to the theater, because Ron and I both do not go to the theater very often. Like we couldn't figure out initially what even the last movie was that we both saw together. We figured out that we're pretty sure it was Doctor Strange 2 like 2 fucking years ago,
which we covered on this podcast. Yes.
Yeah, I think the only reason we went and saw that was because I picked it for the podcast.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure we were there because you picked it.
So if we want to go see a movie in the theater, we have to fucking pick it for the podcast, and that is the only thing that gets us into the theater. And people wonder why the theater chains are dying. It's because people can't be fucking bothered to go, which is a shame, because if you like good movies and you like Mad Max, for the love of God, go pay to see Furiosa, because the only reason we might get more is because thankfully I found out, I forget which website had posted it, but George Miller, because of the way the original Mad Max movies were created and released, he owns the rights to Mad Max.
Ooh.
So even if Warner Brothers, doesn't want to drop, $150 million to make another one, he can take it wherever he wants. And somebody will say, fuck yeah, we might not give you 150 million, we might give you 75, but we'll let you make Mad Maxes all day long. Call it Netflix, you're greenlit. You're fucking golden, dude.
At the end of the day, it's a guy in the desert with a junked up car, so
yeah,
you could make it for 75 million.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm sure a big portion of the budget for this one was, just getting Anya Taylor-Joy and Chris Hemsworth right now.
Right.
Especially if you went with, if the next one, if they there's been rumors of like going back to Tom Hardy. They don't even have to necessarily go back to Tom Hardy. They could recast again if they needed to keep the budget down. And I don't think people like Tom Hardy as Mad Max, I think, but that's not like a deal breaker if it's not him again. I think you can recast it again.
I'm trying to look up real quick who I retweeted something earlier. I want to credit the person that said it. Problem is there was a state of play today, and I tweeted a lot. Oh boy, I don't even know how to say this. Mr. Chow. Did you see this tweet that I retweeted, Geoff, where they said Tom Hardy should be Benoit Blanc's Moriarty, and he has an even weirder Southern accent?
Oh yeah,
Maybe even a really bad Bayou accent.
That cast of the next Knives Out is looking insane, and we shouldn't be surprised because the cast, of each of the first two movies was also ridiculously good. But yeah, the third one's shaping up to look really good, dude. And I'm totally down for Tom Hardy and his fucking weird ass voices that he decides to do for all of his movies.
That would be pretty good, I think, having him as a weird beefed out Moriarty.
Hell yeah,
I could get down with that.
All about it, dude. Because I feel like it's time for him to have like his antagonist,
Yeah, when you're entering the third movie, you got to be introducing, and they might be. I mean,
yeah, I think it makes sense to kind of introduce a different element like that. Now, if it's just Benoit Blanc investigating a murder mystery thing, I'm fucking there every time because it's Benoit Blanc, and I have to watch more Benoit Blanc.
Right.
But I think it is time.
Because you never know when he's going to take a pack of gummy bears and blow something up with them.
Or talk about a donut hole.
Or talk about a donut. Jesus, that scene. I've been wanting to watch Knives Out again so bad, and then all the Knives Out news has not been helping that.
I have also kind of been jonesing for some more Knives Out. So
yeah,
I might just randomly appear. I'll just hear a knock at the door at 4 a.m. I'm here to watch Knives Out.
Hey, I'm on summer break, so
yeah, I am also off work this week. So maybe we'll just have a random Knives Out Glass Onion marathon. I've also been wanting to watch Glass Onion again because I think I need to watch it again to like fully evaluate it, because it's hard to watch a sequel like that on the heels of like one of my favorite movies of the past 20 years.
Yeah.
Like there's no way you can judge it fairly, because I was just kind of like, I think it was okay. But I think I'd like it better on rewatch.
Yeah, I agree. I liked it. I didn't care for it nearly as much. And whenever I kind of feel that way towards something, I like to watch it again or play it again and kind of
especially after some time has passed. Like I feel like if you can kind of like
I did that with Encanto recently. I think
sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think we talked about on the podcast how neither one of us really liked Encanto that much, and I watched it again not too long ago. I really enjoy that movie. I really like that movie.
I think I will still have the grandma character be the deal breaker for me, because ending is just that ending is bullshit, and yes. I think sends like a really bad message.
Yep.
Of how like, oh yeah, your family members can be absolute shitheads to you, but you gotta forgive them because they're family, even when they don't actually even can't be bothered to fucking apologize.
No, you don't.
It's bullshit. But the rest of the movie I probably would enjoy more, but that ending just really pisses me off. Yeah, and I don't think I can ever fully like that movie as much as Gen Pop does.
Going back into that movie though, you're aware that that's how the movie ends. You know what I'm saying? So you're still going to hate that part, but it's not going to sour everything else for you this time because you're expecting it.
I don't know. I'm kind of big on the way movies end, to where even like going in knowing it, it's still it shines a light like negatively over the rest of the movie for me, where it's still just like, yeah, even if I like it's like, like when you watch like Dexter or one of these like long running TV shows that starts off really good, but then the ending's shit. That ending is, even if you go back and rewatch it, like you can appreciate what came before it, but or Game of Thrones is a good example. Game of Thrones, we rewatched. Well, it was a rewatch for me. It was an initial watch for Aurora because she had originally watched like a few episodes, but she wanted to, watch it in its entirety because of House of the Dragon being out.
It still blows me away that she was into Game of Thrones. It doesn't seem like, I mean, I don't know her all that well, but from talking to her, it just does not seem like it'd be up her alley to me.
The tone is not up her alley, but she loves anything with dragons.
Okay, fair enough.
Because she grew up on the Spyro games, so she is just a giant fan of anything with dragons. I need to get her. I think she'd like those Aragon books. that you like a lot. I need to actually look into that. I've just realized. What was I saying? Oh, Game of Thrones. So like we're watching. I thought you liked the Aragon books.
I do. I do.
Why the oh no then? I know you hate the movie, but I'm not talking about the movie. I'm talking about the books.
They're not good. I like them. I like them despite it.
Gotcha.
That newest one, I noped out of.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Book?
The fork and the dick and the shotgun. I don't remember what it was called. I remember the fork because he had released a short story, series of short stories, and one of them was literally just took that short story and dropped it into the book. So I ran into that short story again. And I was like, I'm reading the same thing again? Why? But anyways.
Well, you see, it's from the perspective of Edward now, and then it's okay. So you can just make $1 billion retelling the same story as long as you just shift the perspective over to your other poorly written character, and then you're golden, dude.
There is a character in the books that starts out a friend and then becomes a villain and then is a friend again. And that short story was really cool because it was setting up what I believe the book is about, because the book is named after him. It was setting up him going on his own adventure. And Aragon is very Luke Skywalker-ish. He's very naive and he's really pure, and all his decision making and stuff, and freedom is the right of all sentient beings and all that.
What a nerd.
Yeah, he's a real nerd.
You and your naive positivity.
Murtagh, on the other end, has had to survive on his own in the world, and he's got the same powers as Aragon, so it's an interesting switch. Like, this is what Aragon would be had their roles been reversed.
Mm-hmm.
That short story was really good, and I believe the book is trying to pick up from there, but I just, after a while, I was like, I don't care, and I just didn't go back to it.
You just stopped.
Yeah.
It happens.
But that movie is dog shit. Don't ever show her the movie.
Someone is going to pick that movie for friends and family month eventually.
That's the day I quit the podcast.
That's the day you quit.
I shut down the YouTube channel and I walk away. I'll burn it all to the ground.
Oh man. But with Game of Thrones, so on rewatch, there's so much good stuff early on.
Yeah.
And you're able to enjoy it, but there's so much of it that is laying the groundwork for shit that is never fully paid off, and that just pisses you off. So it's like, if I rewatch Encanto, I probably will like the first 90% of it better again, but once it gets to that ending with that fucking asshole grandma, I'm like, no, fuck you, fuck this movie, and fuck its message, because I hate that message of just because you're family with this person. Like, people have awful family members who are not worthy of forgiveness, even though they're family. Like, quit spouting that shit to kids. It's gross to me.
I am not a fan of the viewpoint that, well, it's for children. You're thinking about it too hard. I don't like that point of view. I don't think that just because something is aimed at kids or family that it can't be well written. But
yeah, that's a cop-out take to me.
At the same time, I think Encanto is not aiming to be nearly as complex as something like Game of Thrones. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think it would ruin. I don't think on a second viewing it'll ruin your experience that much. Because one thing that bothered me that I didn't even give a shit about, that might be because I went through 5 seasons of the 90s X-Men cartoon recently, they do not use their powers to do shit. Just like in the X-Men cartoon. You have all these interesting characters with interesting powers, and they never use them in interesting ways. And that was one thing I was like, I want to see this family do something. But, Louisa is picking up a bunch of donkeys and walking around with them on her shoulder, and that's about it.
Yeah, I don't. I will probably watch it again eventually just to see, but I don't know. It's almost like The ending too is something that specifically is like a trigger for me when it comes to just
the ending is
fiction
bad,
in general.
but I really like that song though.
See, and you initially liked the music a lot more than I did.
Oh, I didn't like the movie at all, but I was still listening to the soundtrack.
I didn't even like the music on first watch. I thought it was just like eh. And I'm a giant Lin-Manuel Miranda fan. I've listened to Hamilton like an ungodly amount of fucking times. I love him a lot, but I just did not care for the music in that movie. But I don't know. We'll have to see. But today's episode is not about Encanto.
What?
Like,
I watched the wrong movie, Geoff.
We had a 10-minute Encanto and
Furiosa. This would have been so much better.
And Aragon review.
I like the music of Furiosa so much better.
Oh my god, that I've been listening to that fucking Fury Road theme for days, and it just lives in my head rent free.
So I cannot listen to the Fury Road soundtrack in my head without it just devolving into the Wonder Woman theme. I don't know why those two in my head. I think it's the heavy guitar in them. I don't know.
It's actually, I think they're from the same guy.
Are they?
I think, yeah, Junkie XL, I think, did the Wonder Woman theme and that. So it's probably just the instruments. It's probably a similar blend of instruments.
I can call up the Wonder Woman theme in my head at any time. If I call up the Fury Road theme, it will start out Fury Road and then turn into Wonder Woman. I can't.
A lot of time composers have like a palette of instruments they like to use. Like for instance, I watched you fucking stole my thunder. I watched the latest James Bond movie, No Time to Die today, because it was on my like kind of short list for a while.
I had time to kill, so I watched No Time to Die.
Nice. No, but that had been what I've been wanting to watch for a while, and I'm on vacation, so I've been kind of like, knocking some movies off my short list. And Hans Zimmer did the music for it, and there are entire sections of when it becomes like intense or like heisty, where I'm just like, bro, this is the fucking Dark Knight soundtrack again. I love you, Hans Zimmer. You're a fucking genius. The Dune soundtracks are fucking mind like blowing. They're so good. But this is fucking Batman again. You just Control C, Control V, dude. And I think it's just those instruments. But yeah, I love that Fury Road theme so much. I get what you mean though. It is like a very similar combination.
Yeah, I'm not criticizing either one
because they're both amazing.
They're both amazing, but there's something about Fury Road. That theme, I guess, is just similar enough. And the whole thing about Fury Road oh my God, I can't talk. Thank God we're recording a podcast right now. It'd be embarrassing if I could actually put together a coherent sentence. Fury Road is always a blur for me, no matter how many times I watch it, because it's an action scene beginning to end. So there are certain key points that I remember, and I remember certain dialogue, but I couldn't just sit down with you and explain the movie beginning to end because it's just a blur for me. And I associate that Wonder Woman theme with the only good moment in Batman vs. Superman. And I think that is why that one is the one that my brain always switches into.
It makes it stand out even more because the rest of that movie is such an atrocity that when that Wonder Woman scene and theme happens, it's like a light coming in from the heavens. It's just like, oh my God.
It's the God ray that just shines down. This movie
isn't hot garbage.
It's like the image you always see from Zelda of the Master Sword in the pedestal, and there's that one God ray shining down on it, but it's a guitar. Yeah, that Wonder Woman thing. I think that's why, because if I conjure up the Wonder Woman theme in my head, I don't go into Fury Road. But for some reason, if I go Fury Road, I end up in Wonder Woman's theme, and I don't. That's the only reason I can think of. As much as I love Fury Road, I can't sit down and rewrite the script. It's just explosion, car crash, explosion.
No, you can rewrite Fury Road. The story of Fury Road is, hey, we're gonna go over there.
Point A to
and then we're gonna go back. And that's
we're gonna turn
around. You know what? If you go past the giant wasteland field, you've gone too far. You gotta turn around and go back.
So I'm gonna go ahead and declare, if you have not seen Furiosa yet, this is your dropping off point, because we're gonna go into full spoilers, and this movie just came out. So odds are, if you are listening, you might not have seen it yet.
And go fucking see it if you like Mad Max at all, because Furiosa is really good.
It is worth seeing in the theater, because
Absolutely.
if you've seen Fury Road, I assume if you're looking up anything about Furiosa, it's because you're a fan of Fury Road, and you already know that that's an event in the movie theater. It just like Tabasco sauce in your coffee, it's an assault on all of your senses. So
yeah, I agree 1000%. I think there are some movies where it is not necessary at all to see it for the first time in a theater. I think a Mad Max movie directed by George Miller, it is a roller coaster ride in all the best ways. Like when they can crank up the sound in a way to make it like where you feel the impact of these car chases and shit. And and part of it too is not just like the sound, but the way he films it and presents it in a way where you can always track everything that's going on. That is enhanced even better by a theater screen, I think.
Yes.
And it is like the first time I saw Fury Road, I still remember watching it for the first time. It's being fucking blown away because like I watched all the Mad Max movies. They're good movies, but Fury Road and Furiosa are the way he was able to crank up the intensity of these long, drawn out action sequences that never get boring and somehow have like momentum all the way throughout. You know, like when you're watching, like I know like we always talk about how shitty Michael Bay movies are, but like you know how you can just literally get bored within an action scene in a Michael Bay movie because he's just incompetent. And like you'll have like a 30-minute scene where some Transformers are beating the ever-loving shit out of some other CGI blurs that I can't tell who's on whose side. And it's like halfway through the scene, I'm just like, I'll just look at my fucking phone because I'm bored. But when you're watching a Mad Max movie, like these new ones, oh my God, it is relentless in all the best ways. So good.
The reason I wanted to go ahead and declare that and move into Furiosa is something that you said. The simplicity of Fury Road, its plot, is one of the main reasons why that movie works, because it is literally a blank canvas that lets you do anything that you want, which is exactly what George Miller did. No, I take that back. He didn't do anything he wanted. He did everything he wanted in Fury Road. The thing
George Miller, by the way, 79 years old now.
Yeah.
Isn't that fucking... You're almost 80 and you're in the fucking desert making Furiosa. George Miller, you are the most badass individual of all time. Like,
I'm almost 40 and I've still done nothing. I'm sad now. But the thing that worried me about going into Furiosa is I haven't watched any of the trailers still, but it's just clear.
Oh, dude, you gotta watch that. That first trailer is so fucking good. I was so excited after seeing that. I also had no fucking idea this movie was happening until I saw. I think it was like trending on Twitter the day that it dropped. I was like, what? And then watched the trailers, got so excited.
But I mean, it's just clear from the concept of the movie that this is going to be story heavy, and I was just
relatively speaking, as much as they can in a Mad Max movie.
And I was just like, man, I don't know if they're trying to do like Fury Road again or something. I don't know how much that's going to lend itself story wise. And the good thing, so here's the thing: the people that I think are saying that it's okay or whatever, I think they're expecting Fury Road again. And
it's almost like the Knives Out thing, like you talked about. It's like you're on the heels of perfection. It's not fair to judge it on that curve because you're talking about two of the best movies of the past 20 years. There's no way these sequels/prequels are going to be able to like match that.
Yeah, this is a Mad Max movie more than a Fury Road movie, but boy, it still has a lot of Fury Road in it.
You're goddamn right it does.
It's a really, really good Mad Max. So Fury Road was a Mad Max movie that barely had Mad Max in it. This is a Mad Max movie without Mad Max in it at all, almost.
That is all. So just a quick side note. There is a group of people online, to the surprise of nobody, that are mad that this movie doesn't feature Mad Max.
Why would it? She doesn't meet him until the Fury Road.
And my point to that is that most of these people, I can guarantee you, would say that they liked Fury Road. I got some news to break to you, dude. Furiosa is the main character of Fury Road. not Mad Max.
We talked in our. If they would just listen to our Fury Road episode, they would hear us talk.
We could just solve all of the internet's problems if they would just listen to our mediocre podcast,
right?
Man.
We talked about how he is the supporting actor. He is the supporting character. He's not even. He's not even co-star.
The whole plot is centered around the actions and decisions of Furiosa. Mad Max is literally just there along for the ride because he was a blood bag for Nux. Like
Max,
it's an accident that he's there.
Max, literally the only purpose he actually ends up serving is he stops them from going into the desert deeper and makes them turn around and go to the Citadel.
Yeah, and obviously helps them in their action sequences against Morton Joe's.
But plot wise,
yeah,
that's the thing that he drives forward is. They're going to go out into the desert and die under the sun. And he turns them around and is like, no, you're going to go out into the desert and die. You should turn around and go back. Go from point B to point A. Do the whole movie again.
In reverse.
And that will be better. So they do. So that's how Furiosa's story would have ended had he not been there.
Yeah. It's frustrating. These trolls online and haters they're using the box office numbers against this movie in that way of saying this movie would have been financially more successful had it focused on Max instead of Furiosa, which I think is such a bullshit response to this. Because first of all, I guarantee you most of those assholes haven't even seen this movie.
Yeah.
This movie is, I think you said it best. It's like a blend between the classic Mad Max movies, which are, especially the first one, like they're more deliberate in their pacing. They're a little bit more methodical. They're not like this roller coaster ride that Fury Road is. They're very methodical. There's lots of like sequences in the first Mad Max where it's just like a fucking tone poem. It's just like Mad Max driving around the wasteland.
Yeah.
And there's not even like Mad Max has this like reputation of being this like high octane, car chase. That didn't really happen until like the last 40 minutes of the Road Warrior.
Yeah.
Even the Road Warrior isn't like, people have this like weird misconception with this franchise where like if anyone goes into this and says like, oh, this is bad just because it's slower, it's like Fury Road is one of the best movies ever made and perfect, but it's an outlier within the series. This is closer to what this series was originally.
Yeah. It's interesting because this one is a blend. It's like a Mad Max movie with a lot of heavy Fury Road stuff in it because George Miller is not an idiot, clearly. He knows he can't make a Furiosa movie without bringing in Fury Road. So there's a lot of Fury Road in it. It returns to, it was already fucking weird and strange, but it gets a little bit more of like that Thunderdome weirdness with like Chris Hemsworth's like motorcycle chariot. And stuff
I love
that.
That chariot makes absolutely no sense, and I fucking love it. I love it so much.
They made it look so cool, and it should be the dumbest thing in this movie.
Also, Hemsworth just fucking sells it too. Like it's genius.
He looks like a Roman emperor, right? Like
it's so
he's
good.
carrying himself like a Roman emperor. We should get into the cast so we can talk about why is Chris Hemsworth the nicest guy, but it's a complete douchebag on screen and it works.
Right. So as we mentioned before, obviously directed and co-written by George Miller. I'm so glad that he owns the rights to Mad Max because we talked about the box office return. If this was owned by Warner Brothers, this probably would have been the last Mad Max thing we ever see, but I guarantee you it's coming back eventually, just under a different studio. And I'm really excited, and I'm curious to see like where we'll talk about it later, but I would like to talk with you about like where they go from here as far as what you'd like to see going forward with this franchise. Because George Miller is apparently just wanting to make them forever, and I love him for it. I'm just curious to see like where they take the story from here and how they approach the characters. He co-wrote this with Nick Lathoris, who also co-wrote Fury Road with him. So I think it was smart to bring back the co-writer and have that continuing DNA for what makes Furiosa like tick. because like we talked about it, like we love Charlize
Oh
Theron.
no, she doesn't tick. That's her arm.
But we love Charlize Theron in the first movie, and I think that the way that they, because it's interesting, like we talked about how like Fury Road is such a simplistic movie, and a lot of it is with the acting, but there is like subtext to her as a character that I think is really well done, both on the page and with the performance, and that continues in this movie with both the younger actress, who is very good, and Anya Taylor-Joy is also very good. But what were your thoughts? I was actually shocked at how long it takes to get to Anya Taylor-Joy. Was that a surprise to you?
I don't know exactly when. I don't think it's halfway through the movie, but it feels like halfway through the movie before we see her.
Yeah, it's probably not as long as you think when you're watching it.
I'm sure on another watch it's like 20 minutes, but like
it's got to be at least like 45 minutes, because they have we haven't talked about it yet, but the movie is separated into chapters. There's like Tarantino-esque interstitials that'll pop up and say like chapter 1, and then it's like the name of the chapter. I forget what the first one is. But I think the first 2 chapters are the younger actress who is playing Furiosa as a kid.
And she's good.
Alila Brown. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing.
Alila?
Yeah, I might be mispronouncing the name, but she is fantastic. And also, they did a great job of picking her, because she both looks like a young Anya Taylor-Joy and simultaneously a young Charlize Theron.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Such a great, and also the main thing that they had to nail on like these casting choices is their eyes, because like there's so much of the movie is just Furiosa not speaking. You know, it's similar to like Fury Road, and how Furiosa in this movie just like barely fucking talks until like the latter ending of the movie. But their intensity, both Anya Taylor-Joy and Alila Brown, with their eyes, is fantastic. Great choices.
Yeah, it's shocking how good that this kid is at acting.
Yeah,
because like you said, she has hardly any lines, but she speaks volumes with her facial expressions.
And she's sharing a scene with Chris Hemsworth, who is one of the most magnetic actors of the last like fucking 20 years. Chris Hemsworth has so much fucking charisma. He made Thor cool. The most boring, horrible fucking premier character of all comics of all time, and he made Thor have like the best character arc in the entirety of the 25 first Avengers movies. That's absurd.
Oh my god! And then Bad Times at the El Royale, when he's basically Charles Manson.
Yeah, I watched the trailer for this. The trailer really shows you Chris Hemsworth chewing up the fucking scenery, and I knew how much you and I loved Hemsworth doing that as like his Manson-esque character, like you mentioned in Bad Times. And I was like, Ron and I are gonna fucking love Hemsworth in this movie, because he is fucking chewing the scenery from start to finish in all the best ways, as Dementus. These fucking character names are so stupid and so awesome at the same time. Like that, how do they go about naming Dementus and like just Praetorian Jack, the History Man, the People Eater, Organic Mechanic? The fucking names are so weird and so good. I think we talked about that.
I think
in Fury
Praetorian
Road,
may be a rank, because like Imperator Furiosa is her in Fury Road.
Oh, the Imperator.
Yeah, Imperator Furiosa. I think Praetorian may be a rank.
Yeah,
but it's hard to fucking know, because this is a Mad Max movie. Mad Max universe
Scrotus movie. When you got Scrotus and Rictus Erectus like running around.
Scrotus has another name too. Let's see.
What's also weird is, did you notice that Scrotus is the same actor who played Slit in Fury Road?
Who is Slit?
Slit is the war boy who I believe is always hanging out with Nux.
Oh, okay.
But it's the same actor.
That's the same guy?
Same dude.
Now
They just have that giant prosthetic on his forehead that makes him like unrecognizable as fuck.
I did notice that one of the war boys that Jack has, the guy that's like the main war boy, is the main war boy for Furiosa. That's like hanging on the side of the truck, like asking her what's up and stuff. Is the same guy.
Yeah,
I mean, not just same guy, but same character.
Same character. Yeah, he stayed on and like would eventually join like her crew, which is pretty cool.
That was pretty neat to see him. Hang on, these fucking names: Gut Gash and Chum Bucket.
They're so good.
Someone's name is Pink Eye. Wonder how they got their name. Okay, first off, can we just say real fast, Max Rockatansky is still one of the greatest names in fiction.
Oh, I love it so much, dude.
Scabrous Scrotus.
Yeah, who we figured out, we were like, okay, first of all,
I'm pretty sure you need to go to a doctor if you have Scabrous Scrotus. Scabrous.
You also need to go to the doctor if you have rictus erectus.
No, only if you have that for 4 hours or more.
Fair point.
Yuri Lowenthal is stank gum in the game.
Yeah, we figured out, we were like, okay, first of all, the Scrotus guy is the brother of Rictus and is super high up in the Immortan Joe gang. Why isn't he mentioned in Fury Road or killed in this movie? Because we figured out later that he is a character in the 2015 video game. What I thought and would have bet fucking my entire life savings on is that Furiosa or Dementus killed him in this movie, but he's purely just a video game callback, which is kind of cool.
Yeah,
I had never played it, but I appreciate the callback.
Yeah, I'd always heard that the game was considered in universe by even George Miller. So I forgot that there was a game. I'm gonna be honest. I did play it. I didn't care for it. Like, it's a well put together game. I just didn't. I don't know.
Couldn't get into it. Yeah, that's kind of. I heard from people over the years that if you could get into it, it was pretty good, but that kind of like the barrier to entry is pretty rough. Had you ever seen this Tom Burke guy in anything? Because I really liked him in this, and I don't think I've ever seen him before.
No,
he plays Praetorian Jack. I really like him in this movie.
The whole movie, his IMDb photo, it says otherwise, but the whole movie, I was like, man, if you ever needed like a young Michael Madsen in a movie,
yeah, I could see that.
Like, I could totally see him playing like a character that Michael Madsen played in like a prequel or a sequel. He also kind of carried himself a little Michael Madsen-ish.
Yeah, it's interesting too. He does an excellent job with the Australian accent, because what George Miller often does with these movies is hire a ton of Australian actors to be the supporting characters, but he is an English actor. I would have bet you $1 million again and then lost that he was an Australian guy.
Cool. And in the Musketeers series or whatever on BBC, he was Athos. Interesting.
Which one is Athos? Is that the Kiefer Sutherland character?
Yes. Aramis is the preacher man, and Porthos is the pirate.
Okay, cool. That's good casting for Athos. I think.
He'd be good for Athos, yeah, because he's basically the straight man of the three.
Yeah, but I was super impressed because he has to do a lot of the heavy lifting with the characterization of what happens to Furiosa, because we've talked about before, like, Furiosa does not talk very much in this movie. For the first half of the movie, she's basically mute because she's either actively not speaking because she's been kidnapped, or she is trying to cover up the fact that she's a woman. She's pretending to be a boy. And what ends up kind of, changing that is her relationship with Praetorian Jack, who I thought it was a cool touch where she gets the forehead grease, like, iconic look is from him. Because she was part of his gang. Super cool. Yeah, I like their dynamic a lot, and it's really tragic the way that he dies in this. It's like, even for Mad Max standards, like, it's pretty rough. It's pretty very rough. Brutal.
I like how, like, he carries himself like he's got authority and experience, right? They said that he's always delivered on the Fury Road. Every run, he's never missed a run. He's always made his deliveries. So he's very good at his job. And one of the ways that they demonstrate he's very good at his job is he's clearly not stupid. He knows from the instant he finds her on his rig that she's running away, and he just doesn't know where to. And he's like fascinated by her, and she doesn't speak to him forever, but he guesses everything about her that he could possibly guess by what she's doing and like how she's doing it.
What's really cool too, I think this is like a subtle touch both in the writing and the acting again, but what's cool is that he's very different for the way a lot of these major Mad Max characters are, in the fact that he's kind of like calm and collected. A lot of the time, even Max himself. Yeah, even with Max himself, like especially with like Tom Hardy, is like a dog off of a leash for almost the entire the first in this new series of movies in Fury Road. Praetorian Jack is like very calm, cool, and collected, and that is kind of how Furiosa ends up being as Charlize Theron.
Right.
Is she's she's a complete badass. She knows she can handle herself. She's relentless, but in a calm and collected way, not a like savage way, which I think is a really cool, like, so much of what they do with Furiosa with Charlize Theron. They clearly show like this was like the kind of building blocks for that, which is her relationship with Praetorian Jack. And I really like this actor a lot.
Yeah, I really liked him. We got the return of Immortan Joe. There was so much more Fury Road characters than I expected. I didn't expect a whole movie about Immortan Joe, dude.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the original actor had passed away over the last few years, so they had to do a recast. But I thought they did a great job making him.
I didn't even know that, and nor did I notice.
Yeah, they did a great job picking a guy who both looked like the original character and would pass as like a younger version of Immortan Joe, because they obviously couldn't do the voice the same, but that's okay because they're 15 years, 20 years younger at certain points of the movie versus Fury Road. It makes sense.
Thank God the people eater's back. Am I right?
John Howard as the people eater.
Now I have a question.
Yeah.
This doesn't play into my enjoyment at all. It's just a thing I noticed. In this movie, the weird like mutation on his foot is his right foot. On the Fury Road, isn't it his left foot?
No idea.
Because that's how Max kills him. Is when he's unconscious, he picks up his foot and drops it on the accelerator and then jumps off of the vehicle.
And so which foot were you saying it was in Fury Road?
In Fury Road, I noticed it was his right foot because he's facing the camera and it was on my left. And I was like, wait,
from
what?
Furiosa, I recall it being his right foot as when at least in the scene where he is with Immortan Joe at the kind of like
meeting Chris Hemsworth
meeting. Yeah, at the meeting, I'm pretty sure
that's
at least
the scene
in that
I'm talking about. It's clearly on his right foot, but he's in the passenger seat in Fury Road, and he gets knocked unconscious by Max, who's driving, and then he picks up his foot and drops it on the accelerator like a brick, and then jumps out of the car.
So you're saying the Fury Road scene, it was showed as his left?
Yeah.
Interesting. I'll have to watch it again. I do not remember.
I'm pretty sure. But I said I don't care. It's the goddamn Fury Road in Furiosa, whatever. But
yeah, that is interesting though. I did not pick up on that at all.
The only reason I picked
just watched Fury Road like the day before.
I just watched Furiosa. God damn it, the Fury Road the day before, and the only reason it jumps out to me is because he gets knocked unconscious. Later, he wakes up and gets knocked unconscious again, and then wakes up a third time just in time for him to crash and die because of what Max did. He's got kind of a funny death, because every time he comes to, fucking Max knocks him out again. But that's the only reason is they make a point of showing him grab his pants leg and pick up his foot and drop it on the accelerator like a brick.
Gotcha. I'll have to watch out for that because that's interesting. If that is,
and who knows? It's 20 years. Maybe it's both feet by the time we get there.
Yeah, that's a good point too. It could be both of them. Because I
wasn't looking for it in Fury Road. I wasn't looking for it in Furiosa, but it's front and center in that scene when he's standing there meeting Chris Hemsworth. So, real quick before we move too far away, what's interesting is apparently in the game, Scabrous Scrotus is the ruler of Gastown. In the game, apparently. I was gonna throw that out, and then I got sidetracked.
That makes sense because that would be after this. So Immortan Joe would put one of his sons in charge of Gastown.
Yeah, which makes sense because this movie is about what happens to Gastown.
Yeah, they would kind of rebuild it back up, and he would put one of his sons in charge. That makes perfect sense.
So yeah, that fits right in. That's probably why we don't see him in Fury Road. It's
interesting how much like maybe George Miller just really liked the way they portrayed his characters in that game, because that's a pretty high honor, like to have it that game, you know, from a decade ago or so, like fully canonized, like front and center with that character. It's pretty cool, I think.
Yeah,
so you must really like the way they did that game.
I don't have PS Plus anymore, so I'd have to buy it, but I'm sure you could get it on a sale pretty cheap. I was thinking about going back to it because, like I said, I completely forgot it exists, and I've always heard that it was in canon, and now I'm curious.
I think Mike Drucker had just tweeted about it a few days ago of kind of signing off on it being good. And he usually has pretty good taste when it comes to games, so there might be something there.
Yeah, the guys over at Duckfeed TV didn't like it because it's grindy. You have to go out and grind for resources, but that didn't bother me because that's kind of what Mad Max is about. So what are they trying to get? They're trying to get gasoline and bullets.
Yeah, that's it. That's like it's like it'd be like criticizing Fallout for like them currently like constantly needing the caps. It's like it's the fucking currency of the world, dude. Like they need the gasoline.
No idea what you just said. So
in Fallout, like their currency is bottle caps. That's like the last thing. Yeah, they don't have like a normal state of currency. They just trade bottle caps.
That's kind of awesome because it's what is it? What's the word? Not asynchronous, but there's a word for it's like out of time, right? It's like futuristic, but it's in the past, like in the 60s or something.
Yeah. It's like in the future, but the world ended during the 50s, so it's like the future blended with like a perpetual 50s aesthetic and state of mind because of when the world ended.
Oh, dude, I kind of like the idea of bottle caps, but could you imagine a pocket full of bottle caps? God forbid you trip and fall.
Oh, I know, right? I'd be like falling on your fucking keys, dude.
It'd be like having a pocket full of razor blades. Oh
man. Okay, so the bulk of the rest of the cast is carryovers from Fury Road, but the one person we need to talk about who has a huge part in this movie is who plays Furiosa's mother, and that is Charlie Fraser, who plays the character Mary Jabasa. She is like the kind of the like co-protagonist of the first like 40 minutes of the movie. Because we talked about it a little bit, but like the opening of this movie, the reason you don't get Anya Taylor-Joy for so long is because there's like 5 chapters for the movie, I think, and I think the first 2 are with Anya Taylor-Joy's like younger version. And the first like 30 minutes of the movie is Furiosa's mother being an absolute badass, trying to get her back after she is because Furiosa is at the green place, the like the Oasis from Fury Road that they talk about. When it's in its full like Oasis state, and Furiosa is kidnapped by members of Dementus's gang, Chris Hemsworth, and she is an absolute fucking badass going after. Like I love those sequences where she's like, you know, like sniping bikers off of their motorcycles and shit. It's like
there's a moment that looked like something out of like PUBG or something where
she's got the 8-time scope.
she's in the goddamn canyon and there's just a pile of bodies and motorcycles and they keep going through the door and they're watching the person in front of them drop and then they come in anyway and
they
drop.
Just keep piling up.
And they just keep piling up in this massive mangle of bodies and metal.
Yeah, it's like, let me just step over my pile of homies.
It's like,
and then I'm definitely going to be able to get through.
It's like you're playing Wolfenstein and you're just hiding out in a room waiting for the AI to just keep running all the enemies in.
That's like one of the funniest things that can happen in Apex Legends. As you know, like when you die in Apex Legends, your little box of your loot is on the ground.
Okay.
When you're like late in the game, right, there's only like a few teams left and you'll walk into a room and there's just 20 person boxes and it's like, what fucking happened in here, dude? It's like that kind of energy with it.
It's really it's like in PUBG, you open the door and there's just crates everywhere.
Yeah, and you're just like, oh my god,
a pin on a grenade? Like, why?
Fucking World War III happened in this house. What the shit?
Oh god.
But yeah, those scenes at the beginning where she is going after the gang that took Furiosa is like so fucking harrowing, dude. So good. And she's great. Charlie Fraser. I think this is the first time I had seen her as well. So like George Miller is great at casting. That's probably like people obviously fixate on, like the car chases and the action, and obviously like it's for good reason, but I think the most underrated thing about Mad Max in general, and especially the two new movies, is the casting across the board. Like everyone is perfectly picked for their character, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
We've kind of talked about the cast. Are there let's talk about some certain scenes. What were you about to say? Sorry.
I was gonna say one person I kind of want to see more of because I like him in Fury Road and I like him in this movie is Angus Sampson, the organic mechanic.
He's really good.
Which from now on, I'm never going to a doctor again. I want to go to an organic mechanic. Oh my god,
man!
Yeah, he has a much bigger part in this movie.
Yeah, you see the origin of how he became part of Immortan Joe's gang because he was originally part of Hemsworth's group.
Yes.
And then he ends up being part of the a bargaining chip for Dementus, which is interesting.
He's also got one really weird line. This one did pull me out of the movie for a moment. I was like, what the fuck? Because we're talking about guzzling instead of gasoline and stuff, but he literally uses an expression from baseball at one point in the movie.
Sorry, what is the quote?
Sorry, that's 3 strikes and you're out. And I was like, is there anyone in this universe that remembers baseball? Because when the lady gives birth to a stillborn mutant or whatever, she's begging for Immortan Joe to let her stay. His reply, not Immortan Joe, but Angus Sampson's reply to her is, sorry, love, that's strike 3 and you're out.
Well, he might know a bit more than others because remember, he was part of Dementus's gang and they have the History Man.
That's
so
true.
He might have learned more about
but I was just like, does anyone in this room know what you just said?
It's just complete it's just like a non sequitur for everyone else. Yeah,
this is a world where we have a bullet farm. Anyway, it again doesn't ruin my enjoyment of it. That was a moment that I was just like, wait, hang on. He said what?
It's so interesting. Like it makes perfect sense, and that didn't occur to me even a little bit. Partially because I was just horrified by what was happening in the scene.
Well, he was holding the baby up, and it's
kind of like an echo of what would happen in Fury Road. You remember when he delivers the stillbirth in Fury Road? And the way he just casually slaps the baby around is really disturbing, and it's similar in this because he's just so.
Oh, also the way he looks like he cannot wait to cut her open.
It's really disturbing.
Yeah. Also, the History Man. If he had still been alive, there's no way that wouldn't have been John Hurt, right?
Oh man, that'd have been awesome casting.
Well, the guy already kind of looks and sounds a little bit like John Hurt.
Yeah, kind of carries himself a little bit similarly too.
Yeah, and I was like, is this your John Hurt stand-in? Is this the War Doctor?
Man, I'm just imagining John Hurt in a Mad Max movie and how badass that would have been.
You remember how we had proposed a YouTube series of just scenes from movies, and then the TARDIS randomly shows up, and the Doctor pokes his head out, looks around, and goes.
Which, if we had production budget, that would have been the greatest. I mean, we would have gotten sued. Or at least copyright struck into oblivion. But that is such a good idea for a YouTube series.
Could you imagine though, popping into the Fury Road and just and then the TARDIS just disappears?
Nope.
Okay, so one thing I wanted to get into, the Citadel, the denizens of the Citadel are so much more terrifying than they are in the Fury Road, dude.
Dude, what about the fucking people underneath the city?
That's what I'm talking about.
They're harboring the corpses with all the maggots everywhere. It's
so they can harvest the maggots.
It is a horror movie in there, dude. It's like they walked into the Ritual.
Yeah, the way that they just drag you under. Because in the first movie, they're just you pity them. He's holding water hostage to control them, and they're very pitiable. In this movie, it's like, fuck me, dude. They're
you don't want no part of that
they're
shit.
goddamn Wendels.
Yeah, for sure. Like, yeah, it's so gross.
When they yank Furiosa under the ground and Chris Hemsworth has her by the chains, because, by the way, she's fucking chained on her wrists and feet and muzzled like a dog living in a cage. But he has to use the chains to save her because they've already pulled her underground.
Yeah, it's also just part of their like fucked up dynamic too, and that like he fucking saves her right there. It's like, yeah, it's fucking awful what he's been doing as far as like muzzling her and shit, but like he fucking saves her to what was about to happen in that cave, dude. Because like fuck any part of living in those maggot farm things, dude. It's so gross and disturbing.
It's a lot more explicit with Rictus Erectus later, but
dude, I can't help but laugh every fucking time
I know
I hear Rictus Erectus.
That and Scrotus.
Oh man.
But I don't know if you heard me. The first time they said Scrotus's name, I laughed out loud. I was like, okay, Rictus Erectus, I can let that one slide. I still want to laugh when I hear it. I'm never not gonna laugh at Scrotus. But I mean, there's something going on with the kid and Chris Hemsworth when he's keeping her in a cage, right? Like, there's things happening there that maybe are unsavory besides the cage stuff.
Yeah, a lot of it is left unsaid. Part of it also just could be Hemsworth talked about how his kids in the past had died.
Yeah.
And that is like obviously keeping her caged to where she can't escape, but also like maybe him trying to keep her safe, like in his eyes, because he calls her Little D. He's like basically looking at her as his like adoptive daughter.
Love and Thunder got weird, dude. He replaced the goats with motorcycles.
Can you imagine the goats on the motorcycle chariots? I need that crossover. Just every time he's about to attack the Citadel, you just hear in the distance the goats scream.
What if in the cage with her were just a couple screaming goats? So as he's just going through the desert, it's just
those fucking screaming goats and Goose from the Captain Marvel movies are like the best characters of the last several MCU movies to me.
Dude, you know what I just realized I want? And okay, so if they get Tom Hardy back as Max, I want a villain played by Christian Bale. If they don't get Tom Hardy back, I want Christian Bale to be Max, I think.
As like an older Max. I can see that. I could definitely see that.
He seems like he'd fit into this world pretty good.
Honestly, the dude they got for Jack would have been a good Max as well if they were doing a different take on it. Because I just liked him a lot in this movie. I thought he did
Max
a good job.
Rakatansky.
Fucking genius name, dude.
It's just fun to say. God damn it.
What's also back in like to like a great extent is I think it's a different composer in this versus the first movie with like Fury Road's like music, but the music is also very good in this, and they do a thing where they're teasing the theme from Fury Road a lot, and then it finally hits in like the final like climax of the movie, and it's so good. I love that fucking theme.
Now this isn't the first movie to do this, but whenever I think of that, I think of the Avengers movie. You always hear bits and parts of that theme throughout the first Avengers movie, but in the big climactic New York battle, you hear it in its entirety for the first time.
Yeah.
I think you hear it the first time when they're standing in a circle, right? And the camera's going around them. Is the first time you probably hear it, because that's the first time they are the Avengers in that moment, right?
Right. They also did a great job carrying it over into Infinity War. The way it's used in Infinity War is really good. We've talked about that before, about how like the music in Age of Ultron is shit compared to that theme, and like they were so smart to like, hey, wait, that music was good. Why did we stop using that shit and go back to using it?
Yeah. Like I said, Avengers, I'm sure, is not the first movie to do that, but that's what I think of whenever you talk about holding back.
James Bond does it a lot too.
Yes.
As like James Bond movies, especially like the the Pierce Brosnan and Daniel Craig ones,
because it
they will kind of like
that much
sprinkle
more when
it.
it drops, you know.
Yeah,
and
like the best one is like the tank in GoldenEye is forever the best Bond moment to me. The way the music hits with the tank is just fucking perfection. I love it so much.
Yeah, so they do that in this movie a lot, because you'll hear it in bits and pieces, and it kind of stops just as it's about to get going, and then you finally hear it in the big battle at the end.
So good.
Oh, it's so good.
So good. Also, back in a big bad way, is just how good the cinematography is in this, even outside of the action scenes. Like if you go through like the images on IMDb, there's a shot of young Furiosa looking at her mother as she's about to be killed, and there's just like a silhouette of her mom chained up in her eye, as a reflection. That is just a gorgeous shot. The fucking color correction they do in Fury Road and Furiosa of that like heavy orange when it's like dusk, just at various times of the day, like the way that the color correction is changed, where it goes from like being like blinding to like at night when it's that like gorgeous blue. Like I love the way that they color correct these movies.
Yeah, rather than
So
just putting a
good.
filter on the camera and calling it a day, because
Yeah.
it does. They don't wash out everything around it. They use a lot of contrasting color. Like the first time you see Chris Hemsworth, he's wearing white, but after the fucking red flare goes off, and you got red in the desert. You have the women from the green place. First off, the green place stands out. Then the women are all wearing blue, this bright, vibrant blue. And so is, I believe, young Furiosa, right, is wearing that bright, vibrant blue. So there's a lot of like reds and oranges in the environment, but the people are wearing these bright colors that stand out pretty good.
And how gorgeous the colors are in Fury Road and Furiosa is why it was always weird to me that they had a black and white version of Fury Road, because to me, like, such a huge part of the movie is like the landscapes, and a lot of that is from the colors of the setting and the different times of day. And it's like, I'm sure it's cool because it's Fury Road, and you know, like, I'm sure that they do like an excellent job of like the depth of the shading and everything, but it's not the same to me. Great that I haven't seen it yet, but so that Charlie Fraser, is that what I said the name was of Furiosa's mother? She is actually getting a lot of buzz now to be the next Wonder Woman, which I think would be a pretty good choice.
I can see that,
because her intensity in those action scenes at the beginning is, I think, is a really good match. So I would be totally on board with that if that happened. Also, obviously, this was a Warner Brothers joint, and who owns all of DC? Warner Brothers. So she has a tie in there with the studio.
Did we talk about how Nathan Jones, who plays Rictus Erectus in his IMDb photo, looks like if Thanos used the stones to become human?
Yeah, he totally does.
Do you see
He
this?
totally does. I'm pulling it back up. I totally.
I'm not making fun of the guy. He's not a bad looking guy or anything like that, but there's something about the shape of his head and his jawline and stuff, and his smile looks a lot like Josh Brolin's in the CGI. That, like, if he had just snapped his fingers to become human.
Could you imagine that alternate ending where he's like all talking? He turns himself into a human and he just stares at a mirror, is like perfectly balanced as all things should be.
He just like breathes in, lets it out slowly, and just finally the real me. Yeah,
that's so good.
It also kind of looks like if not only if Thanos was human, but if it was like his senior photo. Oh man.
Oh god.
Apparently Scrotus was in whatchamacallit? What the fuck? Monster Hunter.
Oh, Monster Hunter. Okay. He was also he played a young Stryker in the newer X-Men movies, which was a pretty good choice, because he kind of looks like he could be like a younger Brian Cox in those movies. Man, Let's talk about. So they bring out Anya Taylor-Joy for Chapter 3, I believe, in the movie.
Yes.
And the first action sequence they have with her as part of Jack's crew is up there with like the best of Fury Road to me. It is such a great chase.
You talking about when she's hanging on the bottom with a motorcycle and a supply of food?
Yeah, do that scene where one of the guys gets shoved on his motorcycle to go underneath all sets of wheels on one side of the war rig.
God.
Like that sound design, dude, like this is going to, I think, get nominated for a lot of technical Oscars again, just like Fury Road did. Because like, how can you bet against like the sound mixing of Furiosa and Fury Road? Like, it's just fucking perfection.
You realize that this movie accomplishes what every movie studio on the planet tries to do, right? Which is, okay, we let the genie out of the bottle with this movie. Everybody loved it. It was amazing. How do we do this movie all over again and make the money again? This movie recaptures a lot of what you love about Fury Road, and I don't know how it does it without it being repetitive.
Right. I think it was very smart of them to make it a blend between Fury Road and the original movies, just to give it like a little bit of a different pacing, where that isn't going to be everyone's taste, and some people maybe that like aren't really familiar with like the older movies, they're going to be like, why is this one so much slower? But I think if they had gone into Furiosa like designing the movie to just be another Fury Road, where we're making just another 2-hour thrill ride, it's just going to be car chases, there's very little plot, I think then it would become too much of like a parody of itself, to where like you're never going to recapture that feeling of like lighting in a bottle that you were talking about.
Yeah.
Where I think making this a little bit more of a character study, and it's interesting. Like I think George Miller had even recently talked about how much of a different change of pace this is, where I think he said Fury Road takes place over the course of 3 days, and this takes place over what, like 15 years?
Something like that.
That is a huge change of pace, because I don't think, I think they're at the very beginning of the first Mad Max, I think there is a time shift, because it starts off, I believe, with Mel Gibson, you know, like before the Wasteland has officially happened. But that's just like a prologue, basically. Like this happens like you watch Furiosa grow up. Like she's a very, very young kid, and then she is kind of like a preteen, and then you see her switch into like Anya Taylor-Joy's age. Yeah, so it's at least 10 years, if not like 15. It's a good chunk of time. Because you see, like, especially with like they show like Dementis aging, you know, he's like fully gray hair pretty much in the latter half of the movie.
Yeah,
it's interesting. There's a lot of the changes are not what I expected going into this, but all of it was, I think, really well handled.
This right here, this image I'm sending you from IMDb, this is a throwback to one of the posters or something for one of the first Mad Max movies, isn't it? That's Furiosa, though, instead of Max.
Let's see. Where did you send it at exactly?
GMV Incorporated. Gymnastically murdered velociraptors Incorporated, sir.
Thank you for confirming that. Yeah, I think that's absolutely a callback. With interesting, we talked a bit of like how, you know, Fury Road had the black and white treatment. There are some shots of Furiosa in black and white, which I wonder where these came from, or if these were just kind of like
You think they'll do a black and white version of this movie the way they did Fury Road?
See, I was thinking about that. I don't know. It would probably just depend on like what the financials were, on how much money they made. I remember hearing a lot about that black and white cut, and Fury Road was such a big hit. I bet it sold well, but the box office being what it is with Furiosa, Warner Brothers, is it such like a cost cutting like mode right now? I don't know. Would you be interested in seeing this in black and white? Did you ever watch black and white Fury Road? Because I did not.
I did not either.
Yeah, I'm curious about it, but every time I go back to watch Fury Road, I don't want to watch it in a different version. I just want to watch Fury Road again, like in all of its glory. So I always have that kind of like steering me away from it.
There's a 112 out of 331 on IMDb. Is everybody lined up just sitting there in their chairs. Chris Hemsworth is like a full head taller than everyone sitting down.
Yeah. Especially like George Miller, I think is like 5'6". Like,
I
he's
think
a pretty.
Is this when he got his star? He got a star recently. Yeah, this is him getting his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Nice.
Oh my God, yeah. Robert Downey Jr., what are you wearing?
I did not see the Robert Downey.
Did you hear his speech?
Are you talking about the Mel Gibson thing?
No, the Robert Downey Jr. speech at Chris Hemsworth getting his star.
Oh no, I apparently
you should look it up.
Speaking of Mad Max, like I believe at some point in the last few months, Robert Downey also had like a speech about Mel Gibson, which was a shock to me because talking about how like maybe he should be given a second chance and shit.
What?
Because he himself was given one. I don't know if that's true. I just saw something online about it. I was just like, what the fuck is Robert Downey talking about Mel Gibson for?
I mean, I'm all for second chances and stuff. I think Robert Downey Jr.'s situation's a little different than an endemic problem like Mel Gibson has with racism and anti-Semitism.
Yeah, like Robert Downey
drugs.
Robert Downey was being harmful to himself. He wasn't actively harming others. Yeah, he wasn't being a hostile piece of shit to every person around him. He wasn't
leaving YouTube comments for people to kill themselves, you know?
Exactly. Man. It's so funny seeing like when you get into the movie and you see Chris Hemsworth with the prosthetic nose, and it's just like the idea of that. It's like, okay, Chris Hemsworth is literally a god. How can we make him look like he belongs in the wasteland? And they give Chris Hemsworth this nose prosthetic that makes him look like dramatically different, but it's still Hemsworth.
Well, what's interesting about that is he's from the before times, right? Like Max. So doesn't it make sense for him to be like a full life and to be like healthy looking and stuff? Like
I think
it's a weird choice.
I think it makes sense because when you look at Chris Hemsworth, even for like their full life standards, and also he talks about having lost his kids. I don't know if he is like actually, because the timing of the Fury Road and Furiosa movies is weird because they're never concrete about how much time has passed versus like when the world ended, you know?
George Miller,
so it's kind of hazy.
George Miller has commented on that in the past. When someone asked him like what order the films take place in and kind of like when, this is the first movie that takes place in a specific order. He said in his mind he had never placed them in an order. They're just like freestanding episodes in what,
which I think is smart.
Yeah, they don't happen in a particular order. Now, I would still watch the movies in a particular order because they're going to expect you to know things about the character. But as far as a timeline goes, I mean, it's the Zelda timeline. I mean, there isn't a timeline.
Exactly. But I think the reasoning behind that is even if Dementis was from the before time, like before the apocalypse happened, Chris Hemsworth as is would stand out as being like too attractive for this setting, I think. So I think giving him something just like that to make him look different is a smart choice because he would stick out like a sore thumb being a literal god, being Thor next to fucking Scrotus, dude. Scrotus has like fucking 20 pounds of flesh on his forehead, dude, and next to him is just Thor. Like, they would look so weird next to each other.
Next to Scrotus. No one wants to be the one next to Scrotus.
You really don't.
Dude, okay, what is up with some of these fucking dresses that Anya Taylor-Joy wears? There's one where she'll say she walked through Robin Hood's goddamn archery tournament.
Dude, did you see at one of the events, Hemsworth and Anya Taylor-Joy are in the biker chariot?
Yes.
That's so fucking good.
With one of his gang members like driving it, and he's in a suit and she's in a dress. It's so weird.
Yeah.
I would kill myself instantly, but I'd have to give it a spin.
Right.
They look like they're being brought in on their chariot for the Hunger Games. That's what they look like.
The Hungry for Power.
Now, what's interesting though is it's different than the one in the movie, because in the movie he had like reins like it was horses.
Yeah,
But this one has handlebars.
It's so funny seeing like all the images of the people at the gala events, and they're all looking like absolutely fantastic, and then you scroll through IMDb to like a picture of fucking Scrotus, and it's just like the juxtaposition of the two. It's so fucking jarring.
Goddamn Scrotus.
Yeah,
Rictus erectus.
It's interesting too how there's always like the through line in the movies for the most part of like the revenge, being like the primary factor of like Mad Max in the first movie, and like it's interesting like how much this plays like an old school like 70s revenge movie with just like, oh, we didn't talk about it. How fucking cool is it that the reason she lost her arm is she did it to herself to get away? I thought that was such a cool touch, because I just assumed going into this, oh, Dementis or Morton Joe are the reason that she lost her arm.
So I was going to ask you about that. So
yeah,
when she starts tattooing the star chart for the location of the green place on it, I don't know if you heard me, but I think I made a sound out loud as I realized, oh, she's gonna have to like cut off her own arm to protect the green place.
Yeah, I had that thought too. I wonder if that was like a through line in like earlier drafts.
It probably, but then afterwards, when I was driving home, I realized no one's gonna know how to read a goddamn star chart. So that I guess that wouldn't make sense, but I was wondering how much of that she did to herself, because that arm sustains a pretty bad injury, and then they string her up off the ground by it.
Yeah.
And it happens off screen in a really cool reveal.
It's such a cool shot when they just cut to the arm dangling, because they're all like shocked because they've just been it's like the scene that happens is was it Jack and Furiosa think they've been able to get away from Dementis' gang. They run them down and catch them. They string up Anya Taylor-Joy as Furiosa she had her arm sticking out of the car they were driving with her shotgun, and it gets pinned and broken horribly when Dementis smacks into the side of her car. So it's like, obviously,
even, like, peels compound some of the skin off. Like, it's bad.
Yeah, it's like a compound fracture. It's really bad. But she still had to take care of, like, fully detaching it. And yeah, but they cut back and it's just her arm dangling, and they're all shocked. And they try to. How cool is it when he tries to drive away and she has taken out the lug nuts or whatever to like the tires, so
I thought she wrapped a chain around the axle. Is what I thought she had done.
Something happens and she has like booby trapped the truck to where the monster truck is gonna like fall apart.
It's got like a crane with like a chain system on it. That's what they'd use to hoist her up. I could have swore when he started to drive, that chain went taut and broke the axle.
Yeah, something happens to where she's booby trapped the truck. And it's such a cool scene.
I'll have to watch it again.
To have the fucking wherewithal after you fucking cut off your own arm to booby trap the truck. Like, Furiosa is such a great character in these movies. I love this character. And anyone who is shit talking this movie just because it didn't star Mad Max can fuck off. Like, the fucking Fury Road movie that just happened also didn't star Mad Max. It just happened to have him in it as a fucking supporting character. So like, God, that pisses me off. People are just shit talking it because they can. Imagine that, people being assholes on the internet. Who would have thought?
Oh man.
Yeah, so I think my kind of final thoughts on Furiosa is, obviously this was never going to be able to touch the fucking majesty that is Fury Road, but I really like this movie.
Fury Road,
I thought it was excellent.
My take on Fury Road, and we talked about this at length when we did when we covered Fury Road, but that movie was literally an experiment, right? Can you make a movie that is one continuous chase scene, beginning to end?
Yeah.
And that, like, George Miller has talked about that. That's what he wanted to do. He'd been thinking about that for years. Can you make a compelling film that is just a single car chase? And it just so happens he has a franchise set in a wasteland where nothing would really get in the way, and maybe some motivations would be easy to find. And we got Fury Road. So it was always going to be the standout in this franchise. We were never going to get another Fury Road. Now, we got a lot of Fury Road elements in this movie, but this movie was never going to be Fury Road. And they were smart enough to not try it again.
Yeah. If this had just been like a shadow of Fury Road and basically follow the exact same structure, it would have absolutely fallen apart. The action would have still been good, but it would have been a pale imitation of what became before it instead of its existing on its own, on its own right.
A lot of what makes Furiosa so compelling in Fury Road hinges on Charlize Theron's performance, because there's nothing known about that character. There's no backstory. You just know she's from the Green Place and not the Citadel, and that's it.
And she's got a robot arm.
And she's got a robot arm that apparently has a ripcord that she can start like a lawnmower. And that's all you know about her. And she came out of that movie being like one of everybody's favorite characters. And it says a lot about that character that you can change the actress and create a backstory for that character and still be one of the best, most compelling characters in the movie. And Anya Taylor-Joy's performance. So I had never seen Anya Taylor-Joy till we covered The
Witch.
Oh yeah, The Witch. I was thinking Last Night in Soho or whatever it's called. But yeah, that movie too. Dude, I think I'm a fan. I think she's going places. I think she might have a future in this business.
I love Anya Taylor-Joy, and as soon as I saw that she was cast in this as Furiosa, because like we've talked about, so much of Furiosa, especially in this movie when she doesn't talk very much throughout the first half of the movie, is in like the intensity of her. Anya Taylor-Joy can fucking set you on fire with a look, so she was such a perfect choice for Furiosa, especially in this manner of how they kind of like scripted her backstory. I love her in this. I think she's great.
Is it? Am I the only one? Is it me that somehow Charlize Theron and Anya Taylor-Joy can be made that dirty and nasty and still be pretty attractive?
Right.
Like,
yeah, that is one thing. At one point,
just me? Did I have an awakening of some kind, or is that? Did you feel the same way?
I felt it too, and there's like my one moment
my scrotus, dude.
My one moment where that matched your 3 strikes you're out thing that kind of took you out for a second was anyone believing that she was a boy, because it was like I'm looking at fucking Anya Taylor-Joy. That's not a boy. That's Anya Taylor-Joy, dude.
Anya Taylor boy.
I'm like, y'all are fucking blind, dude.
Oh man.
I love this. I think this is, especially if you like Fury Road even a little bit, like go see it in the theater. You owe it to yourself. You have to get the full experience, because even though it is only taking elements of Fury Road, those elements are so good. The action scenes, dude, the bullet farm action sequence where she is like sniping people and fucking Dementis like shoots her with the RPG. And
after
we haven't talked about
his buddy as a shield.
We haven't talked about it much. Chris Hemsworth's voice in this is so bonkers, but he nails it. You can't even explain what he's doing with his voice, but like you can tell it's Hemsworth. But first of all, he doesn't typically do his own accent very much, and this is like Australian wasteland Joker.
Yes.
It's so bizarre, but he nails it.
Well, I mean, he's demented, right?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
They're so fucking good, dude. How is the movie with fucking Scrotus one of the best movies of the year, man?
And
it's so
Scrotus gets carjacked, man.
He does.
Yeah. I might have to watch Fury Road again while I'm waiting for this podcast to process.
I'm jonesing for it again, dude. So it was funny is like we just when we cover it for the show like a few months ago, like 4 or 5 months ago, something like that. I forget.
Yeah, let me see. I'm looking at it.
So
Mad Max Fury Road was published. Oh wow, December 30th, 2023.
Okay, so yeah, it's about 5 months or so.
Yeah, 5 6 months.
So I was like, I just watched it a few months ago. We just covered it in detail. I don't really need to watch it again. I basically have the movie memorized. But you think about it, it doesn't matter because it is an experience. It's not like the logistics of watching a movie and knowing the story. It is its own thing, and nothing else can compare to it.
I've seen Fury Road several times, and it's one of those movies, every time I watch it, I realize, oh, no, this is better than I remember because all the performances from all the actors in this movie are so nuanced that you're not going to remember how good Charlize Theron or God, I am blanking tonight on names. Fucking Max, Tom Hardy. You're not going to remember how good their performances are until you see it again.
There's also a lot of nuance in the action. You can't. Every time I watch it, my main takeaway is the actors are incredible. They're all perfectly cast for what they're there to do.
Breathtaking.
It's it is. You're shocked by, first of all, that no one died making it because just a good God, dude. But you're just like, you're watching.
There's an irony in that because Cirque du Soleil performers occasionally have accidents and pass away, and aren't they the ones doing a lot of the stunt work in Fury Road?
I do not know, but it would make sense.
I thought we said that in our episode.
I have slept since then, so I have no fucking clue.
Boy, that must be nice.
But every time I watch it, I'm just blown away because it is mesmerizing in how well everything is executed. Everything is just perfect. It is a perfect movie, and to recapture that feeling even a little bit with Furiosa is an achievement in its own right, and it shouldn't just be like shit on because it's not as good as Fury Road. It was never going to be. It's perfectly fine for it to exist in its own right, and it is an excellent prequel. I'm starting to realize, like, over time, just how much I like Mad Max as a franchise, because you don't often get continuations of franchises nowadays that are willing to be this bonkers.
Yeah,
like we've come to a point in Hollywood where every studio, like, they're playing it so safe, and they're cutting corners so much that they're shit canning fully completed movies left and right just for tax write-offs. Like they're not even willing to give these movies like a shot at being productive in revenue. They're just shit canning it for the guaranteed tax write-off. So for us to get the wondrous adventures of Scrotus in a 2024 summer blockbuster, it makes me happy. So I have such a deep appreciation for these movies and George Miller and how dedicated the actors are and how dedicated the stunt performers are. It is a fucking passion project. Both of these movies are, and you just don't see that very often nowadays, unfortunately. And I adore, especially Fury Road and Furiosa, out of like the context of these movies. And like, hell, it had been 9 years since Fury Road came out, I believe, almost a decade, and like it doesn't skip a beat in tone or like intensity with the filming. And George Miller is almost fucking 80.
Yeah,
like he's 80, making one of the most like breathtaking action sequences you'll see in a movie, ever. It's crazy. It's crazy.
So, okay, I might have gotten this wrong in our Fury Road episode, because I got it wrong just now, and I'm pretty sure we talked about this. Guy Norris was the guy responsible for the stunt work in Fury Road. He evidently went to Cirque du Soleil shows around the world because that's what inspired the polecat scenes, the giant poles. When they're like the poles come down and yanking people out. They have something similar to that in Cirque, and a Cirque performer did the training for the Fury Road stuntmen. So
Gotcha.
They were not Cirque performers doing the stunts. It was a Cirque performer that trained the stuntmen and then was instructed to overtrain them to make sure the action was as safe as it could possibly be, so they didn't have to use green screens. So I was wrong. I was close, but still wrong.
Yeah.
I think I said the wrong thing in that Fury Road episode. So
I couldn't tell you because I couldn't tell you what we talked about early on in this episode, let alone 5 months ago. Yeah, but I had a blast watching this. It actually kind of made me want to not see everything at the theater, but get in the habit of like if something feels like it can be enhanced by watching it in a theater and isn't something that is like perfectly fine for like home viewing. This made me want to like get back in the habit of going to theater a little bit more often than I have been, because like we talked about last year, like you and I have watched like you can count the movies we watched at the theater on one hand. Yeah. And that makes me a little bit sad because that's part of why these movies are not doing well at the box office, is because the pandemic has kind of like shifted a lot of people into the mindset of I'll just catch it when it goes to streaming. And that's kind of a shame, because when you have a movie like this being punished for that, it's a bummer, because it's like I said, it's a fucking passion project for everybody. Like they're all working their ass off. It's not just a bottom line, like aspiration for these assholes to make money. It is like for the people involved actually like hands-on making it. It's a passion project. I respect the hell out of everyone that has been a part of these last two Mad Max movies, especially. And yeah, go support it. Go watch in the theater.
Yeah, one thing that's been helping or hurting, depending on how you want to say it, that mindset is traditionally movies are a very cheap form of entertainment, right? It's a bad economy or whatever. You can't afford to travel, but you can go to the movie theater and escape for a little bit. Inflation has been so bad recently, that's not necessarily the case, like the price of groceries have doubled and all that. Like we're feeling it in so many other places that when you have a family or whatever, it's literally cheaper to just wait for it to come out and watch it at home than it is to go to the movie theater at this point.
Yeah, I also think people need to take that into account when they are evaluating these movies as successes or not. Because if this movie, hits streaming and is absolutely lights out for the studio, then it still can be, like a win. It isn't automatically a failure just because it sucked at the box office opening weekend in this current state that we're in. I think you made a good point with that. Yeah, so like just have some patience and like realize that it's a different like world we live in right now with this stuff.
Yeah. There's also some movies recently that have like come out in theaters and then gone out in like a month or two and gone to streaming or whatever, because that was what they had to do to fulfill their contract to the studio or whatever, but it was like never intended to go to movie theaters and stuff. There's a lot of stuff going on right now. It's a different and new world for movies at the moment, as they are discovering streaming at home as a viable option. So I think the first real success case, if I recall, was Trolls World Tour, the sequel to Trolls. It was one of the first ones to come out with like the premium streaming model. It was like $40 or $30 to rent it at home in the middle of the pandemic when that came out, and that movie made a shit ton of money. So
also Barbie and Oppenheimer absolutely crushed it at the box office last year. I really like both of those movies, but if those can be in a point to where like they're financially killing it, there's no reason Furiosa also can't, because Furiosa, unlike those two movies, is actually enhanced by going to the theater.
Right.
So like if you are something that we were also kind of talking about it just in general.
Well, you're on Christopher Nolan's shit list now for saying that.
for like Gen Pop, there are all of these kind of like these variables in place, like you said, but also if you're talking like film lovers, like you and I, just kind of like take a look at what you think can be enhanced, and then don't just write off the theaters because you haven't been in the habit of going. Like I'm so glad I went and saw this at the theater, because it'd be a shame if I hadn't. Like we talked about it when we covered 1917. I watched 1917 at home for the first time and loved it. But I was bummed out because I thought back to like how incredible that would have been as a kind of like, World War I simulator almost in a theater seats. And it is different. It's just been on my mind lately because we started talking about like when was the last time we all went to the theater together, and it was 2 fucking years ago. And it's like that makes me sad because like I used to go to the theater like fucking once every other week, if not like and like I'll never be able to get to that point again just because of like, the financial impact of how much it fucking sucks to be alive right now, like you said. But I do intend to like what I'm basically saying is like Furiosa like reignited that desire to go back to the theater more because I miss going to the movie theater and having my fucking eardrums blown out by the bass of this wonderful theme.
And like how dangling from the ropes with the flaming guitar.
How fun it, like that scene when like Hemsworth is like dangling over the big trench at the bullet farm as all of the like rain of bullets are going. It's such a cool shot, and like shit like that is enhanced. So like go to the theater if you feel like it can enhance your experience. That's all I'm saying.
That scene is funny anyway because she sees what's about to happen to him, and she gets this expression on her face like, "Oh, the fuck you will," and then starts shooting at him. But when he blows up Furiosa, it cuts to him in the war rig, and he gets the exact same expression she had, and then rams the tower.
Yeah,
like, they're both awesome. Just like, "Oh, the fuck you're not! Oh, the fuck you're not!" Like, and Chris Hemsworth's just in the middle.
That scene is amazing. Did you have anything else that you want to talk about with Furiosa, Ron?
No, nothing I want to say here with the movie being so new.
Yeah, go.
I want to leave some surprises for the people that didn't stop at the spoiler warning.
Yep. And like we talked about with Fury Road, even if you know everything that's gonna happen, like the experience of watching these movies takes you to a new level, like, and you can't fully like appreciate or even comprehend it unless you watch it like in motion, just because of the way they're made, and they're awesome for that. I love it so much. In a second, I will turn it over to Ron to announce episode 101 and what we'll be covering. But
I'm a teacher now.
Are you the history man?
Oh no. I'm 40, not 400.
Oh man. If you would like to follow the show more, we are on Twitter. You can find us at SPR Filmcast on there. Again, welcome to all the new YouTube subscribers that have joined the channel over the last few weeks. We appreciate y'all, subscribing and wanting to check us out more. Welcome. If we talked about earlier, if you're jonesing for more coverage of Mad Max, we did cover Fury Road just a few months ago. You can go back and find that upload on our YouTube channel and whichever podcast feed you found us on. And again, if you found us on YouTube, please be sure to like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel to grow. Ron, where can people find you when you're not discussing Mad Max sequels and prequels?
When am I not?
Right?
You can find me on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube at RonSense TV. YouTube has been a little quiet lately. That is going to change. I'm going to get back into making some content on it. I had to take a break, and then I'm on the summer schedule. So I used to record during the day when my kids were at school, and now they're here during the day. So and I got into the habit of recording at daytime, man. It's hard for me to be awake enough to record at night.
To get the energy to do so is because it's like a whole different vibe, like sitting down to record something versus just fucking around and playing games or watching a movie,
Well, there's that, but also if I'm being entirely honest, like V Rising went into 1.0. So I've been like, I could record something or I could just play V Rising.
You just want to play it?
Yeah.
You just want to shut your brain off and just enjoy it? Yeah, I don't blame you at all.
Yeah, so I've just been playing a fuck ton of V Rising, which is probably eventually going to make it on the channel when I figure out what the fuck I'm doing and how to beat all these bosses, but yeah.
That's kind of like similar to me. It's like I've been on vacation this week, and you know what I'm doing like most of the time? It's so stupid. I have been watching Twin Peaks for the first time.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, how's just because it has been on my short list for like fucking ever.
That's a long list.
What I like about it is at any time it can be great, and at any time it can be fucking horrible, and I never know what I'm in for. And that kind of like unpredictable batshit nature to it is almost a little bit like Mad Max. Like I could be sitting down to watch a Twin Peaks episode, Scrotus could be there. I don't fucking know. Just gotta watch and find out. But I like it. It's fucking weird, and I totally get everyone that likes it, and I totally get everyone that fucking can't stand it. So
Interesting. I had never heard of it till a few years ago. There was a Rage Select, I think, started just randomly doing a deep dive on Twin Peaks during a podcast.
I think what kind of like brought it back to people's minds was the revival show that was supposed, because that's the main reason I'm watching it is because of how much I heard about the revival show from a few years ago. I think it was on like Showtime or something, and how good it was. And I'm excited. I'm like halfway through the last season from the 90s now. So I'll be able to watch the revival show soon. I'm pretty excited for it. Other than that, I've just been watching fucking movies. Just turning my brain off, sitting down, watching some movies, watching some TV shows, and I totally get it. Sometimes you just want to sit down and turn your fucking brain off, man.
V Rising is good. It's very good. And it went into 1.0, so it has controller support now.
Nice.
So yeah. That's what's been killing my channel. So yeah.
Go check out Ron's channel. It was Ron Sense TV, right?
Yes, Ron Sense
go
TV.
Check out. Yeah, go check out Ron's channel. Subscribe to it. Ron, what are we covering for 101?
Well, things have been a little heavy lately, right? Furiosa, the 13th Warrior,
Scrotus.
Battlefield Earth. Yeah,
let's not talk about Battlefield Earth.
Got some heavy scrotuses around here, so.
Oh no, that's a phrase I never want to fucking hear you say again, please.
I think I saw them at the BOK Center. So I'm thinking about lightening the mood a little bit, because for some reason, when I think of like May, June time in summer, like the beginning of summer, I think Hot Shots.
Hell yeah, I fucking love Hot Shots.
I'm thinking it's time to bust out some Hot Shots.
Nice.
Yeah, so I have no idea. It just occurred to me, I didn't look up if that is. I doubt it's streaming anywhere. But
I will pull up Just Watch.
That's what I am in the middle of doing. You tend to beat me though.
It is streaming on Hulu. It's with the Disney Plus Hulu ESPN bundle thingy, and it is rentable on Amazon and Apple.
It's also purchasable, which is something I may be thinking about doing.
I bet they have a fucking set on Apple. They do that a lot, where like you save a bit of money if you buy the set. I bet you could get that in part 2.
Apple is so bad at advertising any deals or sales that they're having. That I found Ghostbusters. Remember, I told you Ghostbusters 1 and 2. It was like $8 or $10 for Ghostbusters, and then it was the same price for Ghostbusters 2. Or you could buy them both for like $6 or $7, $8 for both of them.
Yeah, they actually have a lot of interesting combinations on the digital stuff. Like I think I got Hereditary and The Lighthouse together on Apple, discounted as a set together. So yeah, check out anytime, especially like anytime it's part of like a series or franchise, you can often get them cheaper digitally as a set versus like buying them individually.
Oh man, I cannot wait to talk about this movie.
Yeah, I have seen the second one more.
Yep, same here.
that one is more like stuck in my brain. I remember a lot of the first one, but
this is all me trying to get the second one on the show. It's a sequel. We got to cover the first one before we cover the second one. I can't just jump in.
Yeah,
I know what your pick will be next time.
I love. I'm on Just Watch, right, and I'm scrolling down. And beneath the section where they show you which like streaming platforms they're on, they have little YouTube videos and like plugins of the trailers. Yeah. And there is a
the breakfast,
the breakfast on the stomach as the placeholder image of the YouTube video is so fucking funny.
God damn, that scene is so good.
It is hilarious, dude. That's the scene I remember most from Hot Shots, the first one. It's the breakfast thing.
Like, there's so many stupid sex scenes in movies that involve food, and they literally cook breakfast on Ramada's stomach like she's a griddle.
It's so good.
It's so good.
It's so good.
I cannot wait. War. It's the second one, but still, War. It's fantastic.
Oh, that dude is a supporting character on Twin Peaks.
Oh my god!
And it's been making me think of him in Hot Shots Part 2. It's so good. I love that guy. He's so fucking funny.
He's so
he
good.
plays in it's funny, in Twin Peaks he is a forensics guy that works at the FBI and is working the case with Kyle MacLachlan, the main guy, and he's just a fucking asshole who has no filter. So he's just walking around the town, and Twin Peaks is like this like kind of like little country town in like the middle of nowhere, and he's just making fun of everybody just constantly. Like he's like, because that guy is just so fucking funny. I love him every time he's on that show.
So yeah, we talked about Max Rockatansky being one of the best names in fiction. Where do you land on Topper Harley?
It's pretty fucking fantastic.
It's pretty fucking good, right?
It's so
good. If you told me that Topper Harley was a character in Mad Max, I would believe you.
I want that crossover now, man. Give it to me.
Hey, Charlie Sheen would fit into Mad Max right now in the condition he's in, so...
I'm pretty sure Charlie Sheen has been so high, he has had, like, waking dreams of thinking he's in a fucking Mad Max movie. So it would not surprise me.
Oh man, I cannot wait to talk about this. The spoof of Top Gun. We should have done this around the time Maverick came out. Is what we should have done.
We should have. That would have been smart, and we don't do that very often.
Oh man.
Fucking crazy. 100 episodes, man. Went by in a flash. Here's to 100 more just to piss off that guy in the YouTube comments. Am I right?
All right. 100 if you can believe it. Here's to 100 more.
Yeah, they haven't kicked us off the internet yet, but it's a long time coming. All right. Thanks again for everyone who has joined the channel recently. Really appreciate the subscriptions. Hope that you're enjoying the content that we put out. Much to the chagrin of Rando on the internet in the YouTube comments. So
Rando Calrissian.
Fuck you, Rando Calrissian. You son of a bitch. And everyone else other than that guy, have a good night.
Fuck that guy, am I right?
Fuck that guy.